The Department of World Languages and Cultures at Georgia State University presents Arabic 1001 Grammar. I'm Ian Campbell, and welcome to Week 3 of Arabic 1001 Grammar, where we're going to continue to discuss singular nouns and adjectives. In this case, we will be talking about singular adjectives and how to pair them together with nouns in order to describe things. This lesson has a number of goals. Learn how to recognize adjectives and place them after rather than before their nouns. Learn how to make adjectives agree in gender and definiteness. Learn the words for very common adjectives. Also to learn the common colors and how they behave a little bit differently from regular adjectives. To learn the very basics of what is called the marfu' or nominative case. And to continue to think about the roots and patterns of Arabic words. Let's begin with a question we've already seen. Ma hadha, yani what's this? And our answer is hadha kitab, means this is a book. We've seen this from previous lessons. It isn't rocket science, and you can understand it perfectly at this point. But now let's make this book big, and we're going to say hadha kitab kabir. You already know hadha kitab, this is a book. And now we're going to take the adjective kabir, kabir means big when we're talking about objects, and we're going to place it after its noun. So now our sentence is, this is a big book. In English, we put adjectives before nouns. In Arabic, we put adjectives after nouns. If you've studied Spanish or French, this should be pretty familiar to you. If not, you'll get used to it pretty quickly. It's no big deal. So if we look at this question again, ma hadha, hadha kitab kabir, this book, and we know that this means this is a book, and then we're going to simply put the adjective big after book. Over the course of this lesson, we'll look at the basics of how to make the adjective agree with the noun. The noun here, kitab, is masculine, singular, and indefinite, so its adjective needs to be masculine, singular, and indefinite as well. Like a lot of things about basic Arabic, this isn't particularly difficult, but it is rather more complicated than English. So this sentence means, this is a big book. But before we continue, I have to get a little fancy on you. I have to add this special little character above the word kitab, and I'm going to change the pronunciation of kitab to kitabun. This is a fancy bit of Arabic, a very formal thing. 95 to 99% of the time you hear people speaking Arabic, they won't put these endings on the words. And in fact, most of the time when we talk about Arabic, we're not going to use these endings. But later on, you're going to need to know them, and it's much more difficult to learn them later on than it is to learn them right now. So if you'll forgive me for being very fancy and grammatical, I have to talk about these a little bit. Arabic has a thing called case. Case means, what is the function of the noun in the sentence? Is it the subject of the sentence? Is it the object of a verb, etc.? If you studied a language like Latin or German or Russian, they have cases for nouns. English only does it with pronouns. I kissed her, but she kissed me. Arabic puts these markings on all nouns and makes adjectives agree with them. If your goal in learning Arabic is just to speak practical Arabic, they're really not all that important, but later on your professors will be very impressed that you know them, so it's worth getting to know them now because they're really pretty simple when it comes down to it. So this character's name is tanween ad-dam. The dhamma is the little u sound, the short vowel, and this means basically putting an n on the dhamma. So we pronounce it un. We say hadha kitabun kabir. The last word in a sentence or phrase never gets a little case marking, but words in the middle do. So I want you to understand that this little marking is here when we're talking about simple sentences. We're going to use it in this lesson, and then most of the time later through the semester we're not going to talk about it all that much. But it's important because you're going to want to know it later. So, hadha kitabun kabir. This is a big book. So now let's look at this. Oh, look, the book is smaller. So we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to use a different adjective. Hadha kitabun saghir. Saghir means small or little when talking about objects. Saghir is also a difficult word for English speakers to learn to pronounce. So learn to pronounce it and practice it with your teacher. Saghir. It doesn't have an extra R in it. It's not sagrir or sarir. It's sagir, which is hard for Americans to pronounce right at the beginning. So this means this is a small book. You could see we've just substituted the adjective sagir, small, for kebir, big. Most regular adjectives will work in this manner. So let's take a look at adjectives. An adjective is called a siffa. The verb wasafa means to describe something, so a siffa is literally a description. A siffa or adjective always follows its noun in Arabic. Classical Arabic, especially grammar, thinks of nouns and adjectives as being essentially the same thing. Many words can be both nouns or adjectives depending on where they are in the sentence. This won't be important until much later, so don't worry about it now. In phrases, adjectives must agree with their nouns in every respect, in gender, in number, in definiteness, and in case. So here are some examples of adjectives. We already know kabir, which for objects means big, and for people means old. We've got saghir, which for objects means small, and for people means young. And now here are two new adjectives. Tawil can mean long or tall, depending on the context, and qasir can mean short, both in duration and in height. So let's look at this. Ma hadha. We already know that the word for door is bab, so we're going to say hadha babun kabir. 95% of people would simply say hadha bab kabir, and that's much easier, but I want you to know that that ending is there. So this means this is a big door. So we already had hadha kitabun kabir. This is a big book. Now we've just substituted out the noun. Both kitab and bab are masculine singular nouns, so we don't have to worry about changing kabir. Let's look at this. Ma hadha. What is this? Hadhihi, because the word for window is nafidha, and nafidha is mu'annath or feminine because it ends in ta marbuta, so it's easy to see. So we're going to say hadhihi nafidhatun saghira. Most people would say hadhihi nafidha saghira. So we've taken the adjective saghir and we've made it agree with its noun. Nafidha is indefinite and feminine, unlike bab, which is indefinite and masculine. So we're going to make the adjective saghir feminine as well by simply adding ta marbuta to it. You're already used to ta marbuta as the feminine marker, so this shouldn't really be all that difficult. Bab is masculine, so kabir is masculine. Nafidha is feminine, so saghira is feminine. Very simple, really. Now let's look at this young woman. We're going to call her a girl, a bint. Our question is, men hadhihi. Men is who? Hadhihi is the feminine this, because we know this person is female, so we're going to ask the question that way. And our answer is going to be, hadhihi bintun qasira. A bint is a girl, though this is really a young woman. She's indefinite and feminine because even though the word bint doesn't end with ta marbuta, it represents a female person, so it's a feminine noun. So we're going to take the adjective qasir for short, and we're going to add ta marbuta to make it feminine. So hadhihi bintun qasira. This is a short girl. Now we can answer men hadhihi, and we're going to say hadhihi imra'atun tawila. So tawil is our adjective for tall or long. In this case, she's very tall. Imra'a is our word for woman, and it's feminine because it represents a female person. It's also feminine because it has ta marbuta on the end. So all we have to do is take tawil and add ta marbuta to it to make it tawila. So hadhihi imra'atun tawila. This is a tall woman. So let's look at another thing about adjectives. An adjective must always agree in gender with its noun. Remember, nouns are either masculine or feminine. There is no it in Arabic. We nearly always add ta marbuta to make an adjective feminine. We'll see a counterexample later. Keep in mind that many feminine nouns like bint do not end in ta marbuta, but their adjectives will have to. So here we have rajulun tawil, a tall man, imra'atun tawila, a tall woman. We know that walad means boy, so waladun qasir, a short boy. Bint means girl. Again, we don't have ta marbuta on the end, because bint is just bint, but it still represents a feminine person, so we have to say bintun qasira, a short girl. So let's look at some more examples. Ma hadha. Hadha babun qadim. Here's a new adjective, qadim. Qadim means old for things, not for people. For people we'd use kabir. Hadha babun qadim. And this means this is an old door. Bab is a masculine singular noun. It's indefinite, so its adjective needs to be masculine singular and indefinite as well. It's complicated, but it's really pretty easy. Let's look at this door. Ma hadha? Hadha huwa al-bab al-jadid. Now my little ending has changed to a single dhamma, Again, you'll get used to this as it goes along. It's not that big of a deal. So we're going to say hadha huwa al-babul jadid. We're going to run them together. Instead of saying hadha huwa al-babu al-jadid, we're going to say hadha huwa al-babul jadid. Just like in English, we run words together in Arabic. And right here, you can see that we've taken the little dhamma from bab because it's definite. We've used one dhamma instead of the little tanween dam character. And we're going to run it together with the of al-jadid. Hadha huwa al-babul jadid. And this means this is the new door. If you remember from the previous lesson, to say this is the door, we have to say this is him, the door. Man hadha, we already met this fellow last time. Who is this? We're going to say hadha huwa at-talibul jamil. Hadha huwa at-talib by itself means this is the student. And now we're going to make him beautiful because he's a lovely young man. So, hadha huwa at-talibul jamil. Jamil means beautiful, perfectly fine to use for a guy in Arabic culture. And because the noun at-talib is definite, it has alif lam, we have to make its adjective definite as well. The noun is masculine, so the adjective stays masculine, but now the noun is definite, so the adjective needs to be definite as well. The only way to make an adjective definite is to add alif lam. So now let's look at this young woman. We're going to say, هذه طالبة ذكية. Dhakiya is a new word. Dhaki means smart or intelligent. And since she's a woman, taliba, we're going to have to add ta marbuta to make it agree. Here she's indefinite and feminine, so her adjective needs to be indefinite and feminine as well. هذه طالبة ذكية. Again, most people would say, هذه طالبة ذكية. And this means this is a smart student. Notice that in English, the word student doesn't imply what gender the student might be. In Arabic, it always will. So now an adjective in a phrase must always agree in definiteness with its noun. We'll see how to do it a different way later when we talk about sentences. The only way to make an adjective definite is to add alif lam on the beginning. There are other ways to make nouns definite, but the only way to make an adjective definite is to add alif lam. Later, we'll see nouns without alif lam and adjectives with it, but for now you don't have to worry about that. Let's take a look at these examples. We know rajulun tawil means a tall man, but now we're going to make him the tall man. So we don't put the alif lam, just on rajul, we have to put it on tawil as well. So we're going to say ar-rajul tawil. Run the words together, not ar-rajul at-tawil, but ar-rajul tawil. Al-bintul kasira, the short girl. Notice again that the noun is definite. We know this because it has alif lam. The adjective must be definite with alif lam as well. The noun is feminine because it represents a female person, so the adjective must be feminine as well, and we change it by adding ta marbuta. Bintun qasira, here they're both indefinite, so we mean a short girl. So let's take a look at the adjectives we know. We know that kabir is big, saghir is small, tawil is tall or long, qasir is short, qadim is old, jadid is new, jamil is pretty or beautiful, and dhaki is smart. So if you pronounce them all, you can hear that all but the last one have the same cadence or rhythm. Kabir, saghir, tawil, qasir, qadim. You can hear they all have the same rhythm. So in Arabic, We name these patterns of rhythm. In this case, its name is wazn fa'il. Wazn means pattern in this case, and fa'il is its proper name. And this is the adjective pattern. You'll find that many common adjectives have the fa'il pattern, like kabir, saghir, tawil, and so forth. Dhaki here is the exception. It works a little bit differently, but most adjectives have this particular pattern. In next week's lesson, we'll talk a lot more about roots and patterns, but I want you to get it into your head that words have roots and patterns, and most adjectives have this particular pattern with the first two root letters, long vowel ya, and then the third root letter. Let's move on. We already know this guy. Man hadha. We're going to call him, whoa, here's 5 words. Look out. Hadha huwa at-talibul jamilul dhaki, which sounds like a mouthful, but you can take it apart really easily. We already know that hadha huwa at-talib means this is the student, and now we're going to call him both pretty and smart. After all, he's graduated, and look at that smile. So we've got at-talibul jamil dhaki. So we're just going to put 2 adjectives after the noun. We're not going to use punctuation to run them together because, properly speaking, Arabic doesn't have punctuation, or didn't until very recently. So all we have to do is make both adjectives agree with the noun. The noun is masculine, singular, and definite, so the adjectives will both be masculine, singular, and definite as well. So this means this is the beautiful, smart student. Man hadhihi, let's look at her again. We're going to say hadhihi talibatun dhakiyatun jamila. Again, most people would say hadhihi taliba dhakiya jamila. They'd leave off these endings, but I want you to get used to them being there because it's going to become kind of important later on. So she is indefinite, singular, and feminine. We know this because of ta marbuta. So we're going to make both of her adjectives indefinite, singular, and feminine as well by leaving off the alif lam and adding ta marbuta. We can put them in any order. So hadhihi talibatun dhakiyatun jamila. This is a smart, beautiful student. In English we use a comma. In Arabic we don't need it. So Arabic adjectives are always in the same case as their nouns. Case is this funny thing that we don't really think about in English because we only use in pronouns. Case means what is the function of the noun in the sentence. There are 3 cases in Arabic. We're only going to learn one of them today. So Arabic adjectives are always in the same case as their nouns. This doesn't always mean they'll have the same markings, but we'll deal with that later. For now, this is mostly irrelevant to very basic Arabic. Learn the words, learn to make the adjective agree with the noun, pick up the case markings as you go along. Rajulun tawilun, both of them are in the same case. Nominative or marfu' case is its name. Both of them are indefinite, so we make the un endings. And typically the last word in a phrase or sentence wouldn't have an ending, but I'm just putting them here to make an example for now. So in the next one we have ar-rajul tawil, the tall man. The rajul is definite, so he gets a single dhamma. So does tawil. He gets alif lam and a single dhamma. Al-bintul qasira, both of them get a single dhamma because both are definite. Bintun qasiratun, both of them get the tanween ad-dam character that's pronounced un because both are indefinite. Ma hadha, we already know what this is. Hadha babun kabirun jiddan. Now I've added an extra word. You already know that hadha babun kabir by itself means this is a big door. So now, because kabir is no longer the final word in the sentence, I'm going to add its little ending as well. Again, the overwhelming majority of people wouldn't bother to do this. Most people would say, hadha bab kabir jiddan. So now the word jiddan comes from the word for serious. And jiddan, we have this little guy, his name is Tanween al-Fath over the shadda. He is pronounced an, and because of a spelling hangover from Quranic days, we have to put an extra silent alif there. Don't worry about this. Just look at this word and understand that it's pronounced a little bit differently from the way it's spelled. It's pronounced jiddan, and jiddan means very. Really, literally, it means seriously, but it's what we use for very. So this is a very big door. Notice that the adjective goes after the noun in Arabic, and the adverb goes after the adjective. It's exactly the reverse as in English. In English, we say adverb, adjective, noun, very big door. In Arabic, we say babun kabirun jiddan, door big, very. So get used to that. It's easy to learn, but it's easy to make a mistake as well. So let's ask the question, ma hadha? Here is our small window, but we're going to make it a very small window. So, هذه نافذة صغيرة جدا. So we've had to add an extra word, so we add the tanween ad-dam to the end of صغيرة and make it صغيرة. Again, 95% of native speakers would never bother. They would say هذه نافذة صغيرة جدا, but I want you to know that these endings are here. So this means this is a very small window. Notice that we haven't changed the word jiddan to make it feminine, because adverbs never change for gender or number or definiteness. Jiddan is just jiddan, no matter what. Jiddan is easy to use. You can simply put it after the adjective. No matter what is being done to the adjective, it remains jiddan, is very. Now let's look at colors. Let's ask this time, ma dhalik? What's that? And the answer is, dhalik qalamun ahmar. So ahmar is our word for red. Notice that it doesn't have the fa'il pattern like kabir or saghir or qadim or any of the other adjectives we've learned. We know that qalam is masculine singular and indefinite, so ahmar, red, needs to be masculine singular and indefinite as well. And this means that is a red pen. Now here we have a pillow. Ma dhalika, we don't know what gender it is, so we're just going to use dhalik. But it's feminine. A wisada is feminine. So we're going to say tilka wisadatun, and now we're going to say hamra instead of ahmara, like you would think from the pattern. There are 7 colors that behave rather differently from normal adjectives, and we're putting them in here because it's fun to describe things with color. Colors, these 7 colors that is, have very different masculine and feminine forms. So the masculine for red is ahmar, and the feminine for red is hamra. And of course this means that is a red pillow. If we look at blue, for example, we can say ma dhalik, what's that? And we can say dhalik huwa al-qalamul azraq. So we know that dhalik is that, huwa is him, al-qalam is the pen, and we have to take the color blue, azraq, and put the alif lam before it. Because qalam is definite, so blue needs to be definite as well. That is the blue pen. So we can ask, ma dhalik, what's that? And we know that this is a haqiba, a backpack, which is a feminine noun. So we say tilka rather than dhalik. We say tilka haqibatun zarqa. So we have taken haqiba, which is feminine, singular, and definite, and its color, azraq, has to change to its feminine singular form, zarqa. This takes a bit of getting used to, but colors are so much fun to use that they're in here for that purpose. That is a blue backpack. We have 7 colors that have very different masculine and feminine forms. They'll be listed in a moment. Other colors are regular ordinary adjectives and are much easier to use. Learn them because it's fun to play with color. After all, we're college students. Rajulun aswad. Aswad is the color for black, and we would use it for people's skin as well. Arabic culture is no less racist than American culture. It's just racist in a kind of different way. So, rajulun aswad, a black man. Now, al-imra'a asawda, the black woman. Notice that we have taken aswad, black. We have changed it to its feminine form, sawda, but then we have to add alif lam to it because al-imra'a has alif lam as well. Here's a new word, sayara. A sayara is a car. You don't even need to know what it means. All you need to know is that it's a definite feminine singular noun, which is obvious because it has alif lam and ta marbuta. So we have to take the color ahmar, red, change it to its feminine form, hamra, and then add alif lam to it. As-sayara al-hamra, the red car. And then we have the much simpler example, qalamun ahmar, a red pen. Qalam is masculine, singular, and indefinite, so ahmar needs to be masculine, singular, and indefinite as well. Once you do the drills and practice this, you'll see that this is actually very easy, but like a lot of things about Arabic, it's rather more complicated than is English. So pay attention, do the drills, watch this again if you have to, and really learn your adjectives and colors. Let's take a look at our vocabulary. We know that jadid means new. We know that jamil means pretty or beautiful. It can be used for objects, it can be used for women, it can be used for men. Dheki is smart or intelligent. Saghir means small for things, but when we're describing people, it means young. Tawil means tall or long. Qadim means old, but only for things, not for people. Qasir means short for both things and people. Kabir means big for things, but it means old for people. Here are our 7 colors that behave differently depending on masculine and feminine. So ahmar for masculine, hamra for feminine means red. Asfar for masculine and safra for feminine means yellow. Akhtar for masculine and khadra for feminine means green. Green is the lucky color in Arabic. Azraq for masculine and zarqa for feminine means blue. Abyad for masculine and bayda for feminine means white. Aswad for masculine and sauda for feminine means black. Asmar for masculine and samra for feminine means tan or light brown and is mostly used to describe people's skin color. And then here are the other words we've learned. A siffa is an adjective. The name of the nominative case, this is abstract and you don't need to worry about it for right now, is hal ar-raf', the lifted state. Marfu' is the adjective, lifted, that we usually use to describe words in the nominative case. Jiddan means very. It goes after the adjective and it never changes for gender, number, or definiteness. And then finally, we have 4 colors that behave like normal adjectives. Portugali is orange, and yes, the word Portugal comes from that. Binafseji is purple. It's borrowed from the Persian word for violet. Ramadi is gray. That means ash-colored. And bunni is brown, usually dark brown, and it comes from the word for the coffee bean. So, take your adjectives, take your nouns, put them together and describe things, and we'll see you next week where we talk about roots and patterns more abstractly.